Hi everybody, we are on page 28 and today we are talking about percents. Percents get a bad rap for being tricky. They're really not too tricky, and in fact it's right there in the word. Per means for or out of. So if I'm giving one stuffed animal per person, I'm giving one stuffed animal for a person. Then the word cent comes from the Latin root for 100. So per cent just mean out of 100. So ways to remember that there are 100 years in a century. Notice that prefix there. There are 100 cents that make up a dollar. A business or something will celebrate its centennial, which means it's been around for 100 years. So yeah, 100 cent, 100. Okay. Percents are a way of explaining or showing or describing a part of a whole. Okay, so for example, if I say that someone ate 38% of the pizza is the whole, and the 38% is the part of it that they ate. They didn't eat the whole thing, they ate part of it. Okay? Now, this should, in your little math brain, you should start to be thinking, I feel like we've done other things where we described a part of a whole. And yes, we did in chapter 2. In fact, we used fractions, and even in this unit, we used some ratios. So a fraction is also a part of a whole. Now, a fraction can be out of anything. So the number on the bottom doesn't have to be 100. But a percent is always out of 100. Kind of like how we use unit rates to be able to compare one of something so we can figure out the better deal. Percents allow us to take fractions that might have different denominators and compare them evenly. So we can turn percents into fractions. So let's take the 38% that I just wrote. 38% is 38 out of 100. That's what percent means. The symbol for percent looks like this. And a way that I've taught kids to remember it in the past is think of it as a 1 with the 2 zeros just on weird sides of it. Percent. There you go. So 38%, this sign means out of 100. Now you guys are pretty dang good at simplifying fractions. So I look at the common factors of 38 and 100. If I needed to check, I could look at my factor table, which is hopefully glued into your notebook. 38 divided by 2 is 19. 100 divided by 2 is 50. 19 and 50 don't have any more common factors, so this is the simplest form of the fraction. So we can say 38% is the same as 19/50ths, or 19/50ths is the same as 38%. How about you try one? 35%. Okay, so 35% is equal to 35 out of 100. If I divide out the greatest common factor, which is just 5, I get 7 out of 20. That can't be simplified anymore, so 35% is the same as 7/20ths. All right, now, makes sense that we can go from fractions to percents. We can also go from a percent, we went from percent to fraction, sorry. We can also go from fraction to percent. So let's say I have a fraction like 2/5. One way to turn that into a percent would be to draw to a hundredths grid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to shade in 2 out of every 5 squares. Okay, so I could go through here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm gonna stop now because I'm already driving myself crazy. Okay, another way to do that with less drawing is to make an equivalent fraction with 100 on the bottom, because we know that we're trying to get to a percent, to out of 100. So I ask myself, how do I go from 5 to 100? I am multiply by 20. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 2 times 20 is 40. 40 out of 100 is the same as 40%, which makes sense because if I were to continue my pattern, I would end up coloring in 40 squares. 40 squares out of 100 squares. Okay? How about one for you to try? How about, where did my purple marker go? 6/25. If I look different, I accidentally cut myself off. That wasn't quite done. Okay, so I asked myself, how do I go from 25 to 100? I have to multiply by 4. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 24 out of 100 is the same as 24%. So now you can go from a percent to a fraction or a fraction to a percent. But in the next video, we're going to talk about what to do when you get numbers that are not so nice to work with.